Growing your e-commerce business comes with plenty of hurdles, but shipping shouldn't be one of them. Well, here's some good news. Powerful e-commerce shipping software called ShipExcel from Pitney Bowes. With ShipExcel, you can generate discounted shipping labels for both online and offline orders. That saves time and money, with everything right at your fingertips. Start your free trial of ShipExcel from Pitney Bowes today.
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
I'm okay with disliking stuff and somebody else disagreeing with me, and I can still sit in a room with you, as long as the thing we're not disliking is, like, someone's humanity.
Welcome to How To. I'm Carvell Wallace. You know, every once in a while, I find myself thinking about the time Michelle Obama delivered the line, "When they go low, we go high," to thunderous applause at the 2016 Democratic Convention. I think it sticks in my mind now because nearly 10 years later, it looks like such spectacularly bad advice for the moment the nation was about to face. Like, yes, it was simple and quotable, and as a writer, I appreciated the play on words, but I think at the very least, we can say it lacked some of the nuance necessary to lead people into battle against encroaching fascism. The reality is that fighting back requires all kinds of tactics beyond quote-unquote going high. Specifically, fighting back also requires some very strategic and effective going low. And that's what we're here to talk about, going low. Particularly one small but important form of going low, and that is criticizing, belittling, roasting, calling bullshit upon. In other words, being a hater. But I don't mean just any old hater. I don't mean someone who goes around talking shit indiscriminately and making everyone who they encounter feel bad. No, I mean a very specific kind of hating. Hating for good. Hating for the betterment of humankind. Today, we're here to talk about ethical hating. And for that, I have found what I believe to be the perfect guest.
I'm Scaachi Koul, and I am a culture writer at Slate.com.
Scaachi Koul also writes the Substack Hater Nation, which she calls a newsletter for assholes in reform. She co-hosts the podcast Scamfluencers, and she just published a book of essays called Sucker Punch about her life getting turned upside down. But we thought we'd start by talking about Scaachi's hater origin story, which takes place, quite surprisingly, in Canada. First of all, you're Canadian, which is not a nation that people associate with.
Starting there is so mean. It really cuts me off at the knee here.
So funny. Tell us a little about your journey to becoming a hater.
Oh,
coming from the nicest place on the earth.
As if, whatever. People who think that have never been to Canada.
Yes, break that down for us. I'm
confident. Canadians are nice but not kind in the way that I think Californians are. And I think New Yorkers are the opposite, right?
Right.
So my hatred comes from a deep, profound place. I was raised by immigrants. Immigrants are original haters for sure. I was raised by South Asian immigrants. South Asian, Kashmiri, Hindu immigrants. Come on. Nobody hates anything like a Kashmiri. We invented it, and we're really proud of that, and we ruin every party.
Yeah, I love it. It is your contribution to the world, for sure.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for that. Let's talk about what the definition of a hater is as we mean it, and how that differs from what people might think of when they first
Well, what do you think people generally think of when they think of it?
I still think that there's a lot of, to hate is bad, right? I mean, like, we're supposed to be like moved by love, and that's what's good.
Moved by love?
Yeah, and that
you said that out loud, and that was embarrassing for you.
I live in California, so I have to acknowledge that that's how people actually think.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And so I think people think that it's like going around just being mad for no reason. You just like look at people, you're just like, you suck, I hate your hair, I hate your shirt. I don't like your...
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
listen, as someone who is mad for no reason all the time, that feels amazing. But that is different than being a hater. I think being a hater means appropriately adjudicating the garbage in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
We live in detritus. Carvell, we may as well recognize it and see it and talk about it and label it clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of things too. I feel pretty passionately about most things. I think, here's a little secret about me. Please don't tell anybody. It's just you and me here, right?
just the two of us.
I have a strong feeling about almost everything. And anytime I'm like, I don't really care, I'm probably lying. Like, I probably feel something about it. And I think it's important to feel deeply about things. When I look at the political environment we're in, which is so bad, like it's bad in a way that I could have never foreseen. I think about that, how this actually extends beyond my wildest imagination. I feel like if people were bigger haters when it was necessary, you know what I mean? Like maybe 20 years ago, some of this would be different. I don't know if it'd be avoided, but I think so much about like political discourse around like, do we have to fight? Like, hey, can't we like get along? Like when they go low, oh, I hated that. Like, what do you mean? That to me is a waste. And that is the hatred I think we have to bring back.
Yeah. That thing I said about love, you rolled your eyes appropriately.
Sure did, yeah.
This is another one that I always think people misunderstand because I actually think that you can't really love unless you're willing to fight with people. Like, if all you want to do is just agree with everything and let shit slide, then it's not love.
Yeah, listen, not all conflict is violence for sure. I can argue with somebody and then just like go back to whatever. Some people take things, to heart, but maybe you need to. Maybe it's important to get your feelings hurt or to hurt somebody else's feelings a little bit. I also just think it's fun to like watch a movie and be like, I hated it. There's also value in that.
Yeah. We're talking about being an ethical hater, which the first time I heard that, I immediately related to that when that became something of a meme a little while ago. I was like, that's exactly how I feel, that I hate from a nuanced and like well-informed and well-thought-out perspective. But what is the difference between being an ethical hater, in your opinion, and just being like just someone who goes around judging everything unnecessarily?
I think you have to hate up in the same way you have to punch up. Like nobody wants to watch somebody pummel somebody who's like 2 inches shorter than them or 2 feet or anything like that. Yeah. I think you have to hate up. When I'm inconvenienced, which happens often, and obviously nothing fills me with rage more than the very human experience of like waiting in a line for 8.5 minutes. It is unethical to hate the employee at the Walgreens who's working alone, right? And just trying to clear through all these really unhappy customers. It is very ethical for me to write a letter to the CEO of Walgreens and be like, I was personally inconvenienced today, and that is the only thing that matters. That is exactly right. I think that's fair. And I think this is when you get into these conversations about all the footage of like Karens getting upset in restaurants. Their rage is delicious. It's just misplaced, right? Like they just need to direct it up instead of down or, horizontally. If you just remember that the point is to hate the bigger guy, I think you can have a lot of fun with it.
When you say up, you mean along the scale of power, right? Yeah.
Like it's not interesting for Goliath to like yell at David.
Right.
I don't need to watch that. Like that's not fun. But the other way, that's actually really delicious. I mean, that's what protest is. That's the entire backbone of activism and protest and resistance and defiance. I just prefer to do it with my little newsletter and my small grievances.
But do you think that that's somehow more petty than protest? It sounds like you feel like there's a little bit of like a value. It's like not as valuable.
No, I think it's all valuable. I think there's value in all sorts of hatred. I think it's just like how you do it, who you direct it at, and what you want from it. You know what I mean? If you're like, my flight was 2 hours late and they didn't refund me, and then you spend a month seething about this little thing, that's a terrible way to be a hater. You have to find levity in it. Otherwise, it's just going to bog you down. If you can't if you're just a hater without a punchline, that's a rough place to be. Mm-hmm. I encourage everybody to get a sense of humor. Some people really don't have one.
How does a person do that? Because it's true, some people don't do that. They don't.
I don't know. I like lobotomy. Feel like maybe that's a good option. I really don't know.
So, okay. So this gets into something, though, because I think about this all the time, given the fact that I'm writing to various audiences, right? All my work goes out to different people. Some of the advice I give in my writing, both in my personal writing and on the show, is more useful for some people, but in the hands of other people, it can be kind of frightening.
Yeah. I mean, that's true of anything. That's the argument we've been having about the internet for 30 years. Like, it's an amazing tool. It's a connective tissue towards all these communities. And look at all the people who have figured out how to build their family fortunes with the internet. And then on the other side, it's like, well, it's full of Nazis. You hope that people harness tools appropriately, but they rarely do.
Right. But going back to this humor thing, don't you think that part of what it takes to have a sense of humor is that you literally can't take yourself so seriously? I don't know if that means anything, because that's kind of a cliche, but you don't feel like you have to prove your worth at every minute so you can laugh when something doesn't go your way, because your worth comes from a place that's like more solid.
Ideally, but then, there are a lot of people who are haters expressly because they lack some sort of internal self-worth. I know those people. I'm sure you do too. They send me emails every time I publish something.
I have a lot of emails from those people. I delete them.
Right.
But every once in a while I'll read one and I'll be like, wow, this is 9 paragraphs from a stranger on why I use this word, not that
exactly.
word. Yeah.
They're using the hatred for validation, and that's wrong. We should be using it for joy.
I can't stop thinking about this power thing and who has power and where you get power from. Like, a theory is forming for me, and maybe you can tell me what you think of this, that people whose power comes from the oppression of other people can never be self-satisfied, because they always need someone to be oppressed in order to feel complete. And people whose power doesn't come from the oppression of other people have learned to draw our power from something more solid. So it's easier for us to be lighthearted, to make jokes, to laugh at ourselves, to let things go, because we don't have to. And more to the point of this conversation, it's easier for us to hate without expecting the world to fall in line according to our vision.
Yeah.
Because we don't get our power from things going the way we want them to go.
I think you have to have a sense of humor if you are an oppressed person, because what else are you going to do? Like, I always say this, like, white men are just not that funny. They have no reason to be. When I meet a white man who's funny, I'm like, oh, are you Irish? Like, what
happened to you?
What's going on here? So if that feels in tandem, I mean, I think if you have a really comfortable life, then these inconveniences feel enormous. You have no sense of scale. Like, of course we're funny. There's no other choice.
When we come back, it's time to talk about the people who helped us become the ethical haters we are today. Our parents. So stick around.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
This is How To, and I'm Carvell Wallace, and I'm talking with Slate columnist Scaachi Koul about how to be an ethical hater. Now, Scaachi literally makes hater content. She writes a semi-regular Substack called Hater Nation, and it's really just a list of people that Scaachi is mad at, which is why every installment has the same title, A List of People I Am Mad At, followed by the date. I asked her how it got started and what qualifies her as an expert hater.
Well, That's a good question. I suppose what qualifies me is that I'm a bitch. You know, and I'm really proud of that. And I have several degrees in it. I studied really hard. I'm so known for it, I don't even need a LinkedIn for it. Like, people just know. The Substack started because I didn't want to tweet anymore. It felt like evil and weird to be there. But I still had errant thoughts that were dumb that I had to put somewhere about things that were bothering me. And so I was like, I know. What if instead of it being a website where other people go to it and then they maybe see these things by chance, I force them to see it by sending them an email. And then at the bottom, I obviously ask for money.
Yeah. You create a captive audience.
And it always starts with, this is a weekly, sometimes list of people I am mad at. And then it's just a list of people I'm mad at.
Do you explain why you're mad at them?
Sometimes I just say that I'm mad at them. Ben Affleck catches a lot of strays. It's pretty broad. This one is from August, and it just says, I told my dad there were fewer stories about him in my next book than there were in my first. And he looked at me with sincere concern and said, so there's less content in this one? And then this one also has, I recently fell in love with two women seated next to me on a very small plane who seemed to be consuming nothing but onion sandwiches.
Wow.
When I told my mother I received the rest of my advance for my book, she peered at me with deep curiosity and asked, what does the publisher get out of this exactly? It's actually a lot of my parents just dunking on me now that I'm looking at this, which is something else for me to think about.
Your parents feature prominently in this, and I would argue that, I mean, like you said, that for you, hating is like it's an ancestral tradition.
Yeah, nobody hates me quite like my parents.
Yeah, I see that in the content around your parents, and I respect it. I mean, I think a lot of us can relate to parents who are like really Olympic level haters.
Yeah, they excel at it.
And as much as that traumatizes you and annoys you, it also gives you incredible powers in the world.
I'm very grateful for it now. I think it's confusing when you have funny parents when you're younger, because you're like, wait, you're 6 and you're like trying to develop another language for sarcasm and like intonation and like metaphor. And my parents would also speak in like 3 different languages. So I'm also trying to tie this together with like colloquial insults. And so that's like a really bizarre way to be raised. But I'm grateful for it. It's made me horribly clever. But, you know, I think they are people who see things really clearly. I've always admired that, especially about my mom. If she doesn't like something, she will tell you. She'll do it, and she'll probably do it with love, and she'll like, whatever it is, like we'll muscle through it. But whatever is happening, she is so clear about being like, hey, I hate this, and I don't want to do it again. And that is a pretty impressive thing to have from like my mom, who is now 71 and got married pretty young and was a housewife and didn't work. You know, like that's an impressive quality to be able to have in your mom.
Well, you also recognize in that story, you know, the haterade, the ability to like see the flaws in things and say them out loud and to be sarcastic and to insult people when necessary is actually, it's not just like being an asshole. It's actually part of how you survive a world in which there are fucking myriad systems meant to oppress you and keep you in one space.
Yeah. And like, has there ever been a time when you need a fucking sense of humor than now? Like, half of the things that you can say are going to get you deported. So you may as well like put your clown nose on and make a fart sound. It might get you a little further.
Right. I also think too, I've been thinking this lately, you know, there's a question about how far this country is going to go into limiting speech, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Like, sorry, I'm really sorry to my kids if I end up in prison or deported, but like, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And I really hope it doesn't come to that. But one thing I've noticed over the years of watching people get attacked and canceled and not canceled is that if you do something that is layered and complex, people, they can't really do anything to you because they literally don't understand what you've done. They're just like, let's move on to the next house because I'm not sure what this guy is talking about. And so in some ways, it's really starting to become clear to me why humor has always been used over the years.
Yeah. I mean, listen, didn't Nathan Fielder just like land a plane?
That's what I'm saying. That's the perfect example right there. If you're weird, they're just like, I don't know what this is. Let's go attack the next person. But like, it makes me understand why humor has always been used in these despotic regimes over the course. Because the good news is now we have like a map. Like if you study even just a little bit of history, and I did go to school for like theater, and I studied arts and culture and the way arts were made in different periods of oppression and violent regimes in power, and what kind of arts were made under that, and how artists kind of slithered through to get the message out without having to like end up beheaded. Humor always plays a huge role because the people who are violent can't understand humor. That's literally the whole point.
Yeah,
they truly don't get
that.
it.
You don't get that. If you kill that part of your soul through oppression, the trade-off is that you don't get to laugh. Not in the way that everybody else does. You lose that.
But the idea is that you use your haterade for good. I mean, that's what I really think it comes down to. It's like, okay, you have this power.
What are we going to do with it?
Yeah, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to use it to like be mad at the people, like you said at the Walgreens, or are you going to use it for good? So that makes me want to ask you how you got it. Like, were you always sarcastic, biting,
yes,
et cetera? Yeah. And then did you have to learn to turn it back? Like how to like shape it?
Oh, yeah.
Talk us through that journey.
Hey, Carvell, do you want to be a chubby South Asian girl at a public school in Calgary, Alberta, who is really killing it in terms of making punchlines about everybody, but is absolutely going to get her ass kicked later? Yeah, people will correct you if you don't self-correct. Yeah. So you learn that pretty quickly. Which I think is true of a lot of people who are funny. Like, you just don't know how to control it. I kind of sometimes see it with my niece because she's very clever, but she's a teenager. So it's like... It's
so cruel. The cruelty in those teenage years, unbelievable.
Oh, my God. They're so mean. Yeah, like...
Because they don't know how to titrate the power.
No, they have no idea. And they don't understand how powerful they are. Like, they're just learning about the value of words. Like, it's so new to them. Up until that point, their lives have mostly been raised between like comfort and discomfort. That's it. And words are so complex and nuanced. And it's the first time they're learning about their feelings and other people's. So of course, you learn how to correct it. I'm shocked that there are people in their 30s who haven't.
Isn't that because no one's made them? Like, I remember around 2015, people started tweeting stuff like, a lot of people haven't been punched in the mouth, and that shows. That's what that's about, right? That like no one has corrected you. No one has taught you how to like be a little bit more precise about where you direct your energies and what type of energy you bring into situations.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I was also more willing to have more fights and have more debates and engage in more of these conversations, including with people who are just like bad faith readers and bad faith actors like on the internet. I don't want to do that anymore. Like, my hatred is like pretty tight to my chest now, in that like, here's the list, here's the article, you can read it, I'm going to leave after. There's less of a way to get to me now because I just don't want to have this conversation.
You also,
like,
it doesn't seem like you feel the need to convince people.
No, I don't. I now feel like, you know what, there's some people it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. And then there's other people it might work. And if it gets to them, that's beautiful. And I know it has in the past. I've heard this, right? And I've received this feedback. My feeling now in the space that I'm in my life, and then in the space we are all in, dark, is to redirect my energy towards my own people and where I can put care there and what my community needs. I don't really feel anymore like I need to spill out. That will change. I think that's just where I'm at right now. I spent 10 years doing the other thing. And I think since the election, and I think just in the last little while, just personally, I've thought like, I think maybe I have to like reorient and see what's happening internally. And then I can maybe go outside again.
Interesting. That sounds kind of close to love. I don't want to.
Yeah, well, that's...
You, but I just need to name that.
That's your business, and you keep me out of it.
You know, that does make me think of something, since you mentioned the election. So a lot of people after the election, or even before the election, were saying things like, the problem with this world is that there's too much division, too much hate, That is an argument that makes sense to some people on a very surface level. As they say on the internet, this probably hits hard for dumb people. But like, I am curious about what is your response to that? Who are people who are like, no, all the hate is what got us here. Look at the nation. We're tearing each other apart. Why can't we just come together? Like, to quote a meme from my day, why can't we all just get along? What is your counter argument to that?
Because they're murdering us. Like, they're murdering us. Like, so much stuff, Carvell, is literally coming down to that. And I think people have lost the plot a bit. This is the same thing of like, I think I saw a TikTok the other day of a girl being like, all of these people are talking about the male loneliness epidemic. Mm-hmm. Men won't be lonely if they stop murdering their girlfriends and wives. Mm-hmm. Like, right. Just don't murder us. I promise you, people would actually get along pretty well. I think, even with disagreements across class lines and racial lines and gender, all of that. If you stop killing the smaller faction of the two warring parties, I promise you things would probably get pretty copacetic pretty fast. But that's not happening, right? That's not happening. So the police will continue to experience like communities of color as hostile towards them because their rates of being killed by the cops are higher, right? Like, that's why that's happening. Like, it's the same argument. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not going to, there won't be a lot of getting along so long as that's happening. And I don't see that slowing down. Do you?
No, I never have. I had to first confront this question in 1992 when Rodney King said, why can't we all just get along, after getting his ass beat on television by a bunch of cops. At that time, I was 15 and I was like, well, that's a really good question. Let me meditate on this. Let me truly think about this, because it sounds right. Like, it's in alignment with what they taught us in kindergarten.
Totally. And it's an alignment of what people want. I don't actually really believe most people want this. Even people who I think voted in a way that has led to this, I don't think they wanted it consciously.
Yeah, the question of, do I think it's going to get better? I mean, I think, like, no, I don't think it's going to, it's been, for me, it's been like 500 years.
Yeah,
like my DNA results show that my family got to this country in the 1700s.
Wow.
And so I'm like, well, it's been this long and this is where we are. I don't foresee a lot of like things getting smooth if everyone is just peaceful and kind. The math doesn't support that. So I think that what I've had to learn over the years is that there's a nuance. Like, my whole book is about love. I believe in love. It's just my definition of love involves fighting.
Yeah.
Which is sort of a roundabout way of saying what you're saying, that like the reason that you don't flip on the Walgreens person is because that's unloving, because they are an oppressed person who is in an oppressive situation. You have a shared burden. You're both oppressed by this bullshit capitalist machine. So if you flip on them, then you're basically upholding the bullshit capitalist regime, which is unloving to everyone else that's suffering under that oppression.
Yeah.
But if you turn that hatred toward something a little higher, something a little close to the source, now you're actually helping support people, other people who are also being oppressed, which I consider to be a loving act.
And that's why we hate Ben Affleck in my newsletter. He just sucks. How could so many smart women be all jacked up about a guy from Boston? Come on. He only seems to know 3 women, and it's like his 3 exes. I did not like any of the movies that have come out. You know what? Good Will Hunting just wasn't that good. It was fine.
Wow.
It was fine. I thought Jersey Girl was pretty good. I think that's actually an underrated movie. People should be.
I agree with
that one. Yeah.
I agree with that. Coming up, advice for those of you who are looking to get into some entry-level hating. And Scaachi talks about dealing with a different kind of hate after the first time she went viral. This episode about being an ethical hater is part of a mini-series about embracing your inner anti-hero. Last week, we talked about how to get revenge, and next week we'll explore the underappreciated power of gossip. But we do want to hear from you. Are you trying to make a positive change in your life by becoming, how do I say this, less good? How can becoming an antihero help you? Send us a note at howto@slate.com or leave us a voicemail at 646-495-4001 and we might have you on the show. And by the way, you can remain anonymous. Back in a moment.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
This episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. In heart-pumping moments, you need hydration that can keep up. That's where Liquid IV comes in. Scientifically formulated to quickly replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from your well-earned sweat session. Hydrate your favorite mode of movement with Liquid IV. Made with triple the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients. Also available and sugar-free. Tear, pour, live more. Visit liquidiv.com to learn more.
AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow, you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
Welcome back to our talk about being an ethical hater with my Slate colleague Scaachi Koul, who publishes the newsletter Hater Nation on Substack, and whose memoir Sucker Punch is out now. As you may have gathered from our conversation so far, Scaachi is not shy about sharing her opinion, which means that as a public figure, not everyone appreciates her as much as I do. And over the years of writing and posting publicly, she has amassed her own army of haters. So I asked her how she deals with that.
Oh, I don't care what people think about me. That has nothing
That's not
to do
true.
with me.
You can't, Scaachi, that cannot be. It cannot be true that you
I'll
don't.
tell you why. No. I'll tell you why. I have already lost control of that train. I have no actual agency over my image and what other people do with it. And I have learned that lesson 1,000 times over, and I learned it really young. Like, not to, like, you know, as a Canadian, but like I went viral in Canada when I was 24. I was looking for writers. I was an editor back then, and I was looking for writers to write for me. And I said, I would particularly like to hear from you if you're not white and non-male, because we had so many white men in our roster at that point.
I remember that. That was great.
Yeah, it was nuts. It would not happen today the same way for sure.
Yeah.
Because what I said was so nothing. I remember I woke up one day and I was in all 3 newspapers, like nightly news, newspaper columnists. One newspaper columnist called me an utter pill and then like apologized to me, 10 years later. So I've already had my body picked apart and my face picked apart. I've already been discussed in like weird environments, talk shows, morning shows, you know what I mean? Like I have done this. I also feel this as a person who writes memoir, and maybe you do too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nowhere for me to hide. It doesn't really matter anyway. What do I get for hiding? I don't win anything by being less known. There's no award when I die. Nobody's going to give me anything that's like, well, you were really mysterious and we thought that was really cool. So we're going to let you not go to hell. Otherwise, that's definitely where you would have gone. I don't get anything for that. So I'm okay with disliking stuff and somebody else disagreeing with me, and I can still sit in a room with you as long as the thing we're not disliking is like someone's humanity. You know, one of my closest friends has a Ben Affleck body pillow.
Wow.
I think she should go under the jail, but that's between me and my God. And I can still hang out with her. Like, when people talk about, like, why can't we be friends with people who disagree with us? That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about, like, why can't you be friends with me because I think trans people are Well, I can't do that. That one I can't do. But I don't get anything by, like, not telling people where I'm at. if somebody is determined to misunderstand me, they will find a way. But I don't get anything by not being my fullest self.
Yeah, and I want to clarify that when you say you don't care what people think about you, you're talking about people on the internet. Like, I think sometimes people hear that and they think that we go through life not caring what anyone thinks. But like, part of what allows me to not give a fuck what weirdos out there think about me is because I actually have people in my life who know who I am as a full person and love me and show up for me, and vice versa.
Yeah, that's community, man. That's why you need to hate Walgreens and not the guy who works there, because the guy who works there lives in your neighborhood.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm getting at, is that in order for your hater work to actually be sustainable for you, you do have to be rooted in something.
You can't hate alone.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the thing, too, that I always think about whenever I have to say something uncomfortable or say something that I think people are not going to like this, if there's a moment of question about it, like, do I want to? I always think of, like, who's the person that I'm saying it for, not necessarily who's the person I'm saying it against, which to me, again, that's an act of love. Like, if I'm going to make a comment on Instagram or roast somebody who says some fuck shit on Instagram, I'm not doing it to get at them. I'm doing that to protect and stand up for people.
Yeah. It's fealty. It's loyalty.
So let's say that I'm someone I'm new to hating. I would like to, I practice some recreational hating. I've been around some, but I really want to get into hating. Can you recommend some entry-level hating activities?
Oh, that's a good question. I think you should read maybe some books about unpleasant protagonists. You can read mine. But I think that's a good start. I love Halle Bateman's books. I think they're amazing, and they're always about like just a terrible young woman, and I think they're great. I just read Banal Nightmare, which is amazing, and it's called Banal Nightmare. That's also good.
It.
Walk around with Banal Nightmare under your arm. It really tells people who you are. I think that's a good start. And then I would say just start making a list. Make a list of all the things that you don't like, and then figure out which ones of them maybe are really deserving of your time, and which ones of them could be aided by your energy, and which ones of them your friends need you for, and then hate away. But I'm still figuring it out. But I think I don't even want to say this out loud, but I'm going to say it for you.
Yes. Exclusive content, breaking news.
I think as I get older, I feel like being sincere, I don't like the word earnest because that's not really my thing, but being sincere and being honest and not allowing yourself to be obfuscated, those feel like gifts that I can have and that I can give other people. And I am less and less worried with the kind of person who views that sort of stuff as something to sneer at. I used to be like that more. I still kind of am, for sure, obviously, but like more than now. And I know where that comes from and what that is trying to heal for that person. But I say this all the time, and I know it sounds maudlin and stupid, but it's like, I'm going to die, and then that's it. So if this is all I really have, then I should be able to tell you like who I am and where I'm coming from and what I have in my hands. And if I can't, then what am I doing here? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's kind of all we have. Like, I don't really know what anybody is doing on the planet. All of the work you're doing and that I'm doing and that people do with each other, everything we have built on the planet is designed for, do you understand me? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you have a similar experience? Do you feel the way I feel? That's all of it. Everything. And then everything we've built around that is for that pursuit. Down to like the guy who buys the Cybertruck. He's saying something to you. He's asking, do you see me? Do you see my wealth? Do you see the decisions I've made? Do you see my political allegiance? That's what he's asking. And I ask it in 1,000 ways too, as everybody does. So what is the difference between me asking it through these visual signals or what I buy or how I talk or the way I dress or how I walk than just writing it down and saying, do you see me? Do you like it? If you don't, that's okay. But do you feel this way? And if you do, maybe you could tell me.
Well, we got earnest. Sorry.
Ugh, go to hell. Jesus.
You can't talk to me without getting earnest.
Whatever.
It's my superpower. I force people into earnestness.
I'm going to sue you.
All right. This has been great.
Thanks for having me. That was fun.
I genuinely want to thank you. Earnestly, I might even say. Thanks again to my Slate colleague, Scaachi Koul, for joining us today. And you can find links to her book, Sucker Punch, and her Substack, Hater Nation, in our show notes. Join us next week for part 3 of our antihero miniseries with a look at the positive benefits of something with a bad reputation. I'll talk about gossip with Rachel Hampton of the podcast Normal Gossip. How can we help you become the antihero you've always wanted to be? Do you have some other problem we can help try and solve for you? Send us a note at howto@slate.com or leave us a voicemail at 646-495-4001. And if you rely on How To find new ways to tear down Ben Affleck, the best way to support the show is by joining Slate Plus, Slate's membership program. Signing up for Slate Plus helps us help all the people you hear on our podcast every week. Members will never hear another ad on our podcast or on any other Slate podcast. You'll also get free and total access to Slate's website. Plus, you'll be supporting our important work. So I hope you'll join if you can. To sign up now, go to slate.com/howtoplus. Again, that's slate.com/howtoplus. How To is produced by Rosemary Belson with Kevin Bendis. This episode was produced by Sophie Summergrad. Joel Meyer is our supervising producer. Merritt Jacob is senior technical director and composed our theme music. Charles Duhigg created the show. Courtney Martin is my co-host, and I'm Carvell Wallace. Thanks for listening.